I was reaching for my phone charger when Emily's screen lit up with a text that made my blood run cold. Can't wait to feel you inside me again tomorrow. Same hotel? My wife of 9 years was in the shower, humming some Taylor Swift song while I stood frozen in our bedroom, staring at her phone on the nightstand. The sender's name was just D with a fire emoji. I didn't grab the phone, didn't unlock it, didn't need to. That single preview told me everything and nothing all at once. My hands were shaking as I sat on the edge of our bed, listening to the water run. We had 2 kids asleep down the hall, Lily, 7, and Jacob, 4. Their school photos smiled at me from the dresser. Emily and I were supposed to be planning Jacob's birthday party this weekend. She'd been so excited about the dinosaur theme. The shower shut off. I had maybe 3 minutes before she came out. 3 minutes to decide whether to confront her right now or to be smart about this. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat, but somewhere beneath the shock and rage, a cold, calculating part of my brain kicked in. I grabbed my own phone and took a photo of her screen, making sure the message and timestamp were clearly visible. October 15th, 2024, 9:47 p.m. Then I went downstairs before she could see my face and know that everything had just changed. The thing about discovering infidelity is that it doesn't happen like in the movies. There's no dramatic music, no slow-motion realization. You're just standing in your kitchen at 9:50 on a Tuesday night, staring at the coffee maker you bought together at Target 3 years ago, wondering if anything in your life has ever been real. Babe? Emily's voice drifted down from upstairs. Did you find your charger? I cleared my throat. Yeah, got it. I'm exhausted. Coming to bed soon? In a bit. Gonna finish some work emails. Lies were apparently contagious in this house now. I heard her footsteps move toward our bedroom, heard the door close. She was probably texting D back right now, making plans for tomorrow while I stood in the kitchen we'd renovated last summer. The one where she'd insisted on the expensive marble countertops because we'll have this house forever. My phone was in my hand. I could call my brother, my best friend Ryan, my dad. But something stopped me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the lawyer in me. I worked in corporate law, not family law, but I knew enough to understand that evidence mattered, timing mattered, strategy mattered. I opened my laptop and created a new encrypted folder. Downloaded the photo from my phone. Then I did what any good attorney would do. I started documenting everything. I opened a new document and began typing. October 15th, 2024, 9:47 p.m. Incoming text message on Emily's phone from contact D with fire emoji. Message read, "Can't wait to feel you inside me again tomorrow. Same hotel?" Photo evidence saved. Then I started thinking backward. When had things changed? When had my wife become someone who would do this? 3 months ago, she'd started a new position at Riverside Marketing Group. The hours were longer, but the pay was better. We'd celebrated with champagne. She'd been so happy, so energized. She started going to the gym again, bought new clothes. I'd been proud of her, thought she was just feeling more confident. God, I'd been an idiot. 2 months ago, she'd gone to a conference in Portland. 3 days. She'd video called the kids each night, shown them her hotel room. Had Dee been there, just off camera, waiting? Last month, she'd started having client dinners on Thursday nights. Tomorrow was Thursday. I typed it all into the document, every detail I could remember. The late nights. The new lingerie I'd found in her drawer that she'd never worn for me. The way she'd started putting her phone face down everywhere. The password she'd changed on her laptop, claiming it was for work security. All those little things I'd noticed and dismissed because you don't want to be that guy. The paranoid husband. The one who doesn't trust his wife. Except maybe I should have been. I didn't sleep that night. Emily did, peacefully, curled up on her side of the bed like she didn't have a care in the world, like she hadn't just blown up our entire lives. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and planned. By morning, I had a strategy. I would verify everything before making any moves. I needed to know who Dee was, how long this had been going on, and what I was really dealing with. I needed financial records secured. I needed to understand my rights regarding custody in Oregon, where we lived. I needed to be absolutely certain before I pulled the trigger on anything. Because once I confronted Emily, there would be no going back. The marriage would be over. Our family would be broken. Lily and Jacob's whole world would change. I needed to make sure that when that happened, I was in the strongest possible position to protect them and myself. "Morning," Emily said, stretching as her alarm went off at 6:30. She smiled at me, that same smile I'd fallen in love with 11 years ago. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep," I said. "True enough. Everything okay?" She touched my shoulder, and I had to fight not to flinch away. "Just thinking about the Peterson contract. Big presentation Friday." Another lie. They were getting easier. "You'll kill it. You always do." She kissed my cheek and headed for the bathroom. "Oh, I have that client dinner tonight, remember? Probably won't be home until 10 or so." "Right," I said. "The client dinner." She didn't catch the edge in my voice. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. After she left for work, kissing the kids goodbye, reminding me that Lily had soccer practice at 4, I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee and made a phone call. "Ryan?" "Yeah, it's me. I need a favor." "You still have that buddy who does private investigation work?" The private investigator's name was Gerald Reeves, and he looked nothing like what I'd expected. No trench coat, no stubble, no world-weary cynicism. Just a middle-aged guy in khakis and a polo shirt who could have been anyone's accountant. We met at a coffee shop in Beaverton, far enough from home that I wouldn't run into anyone we knew. "Your friend Ryan gave me the basics," Gerald said, pulling out a tablet. "Wife, possible affair, Thursdays. What else can you tell me?" I slid my phone across the table, showing him the screenshots I'd taken, the messages, the hotel name, everything I'd documented over the past 36 hours. He studied them without expression. "You haven't confronted her?" "No." "Good. Keep it that way." He made notes on his tablet. "I'll need her work schedule, vehicle description, license plate. Any known associates, friends she mentions frequently, the name or description of anyone she might be seeing." I provided what I could. Emily's silver Honda CR-V, her office location. The fact that she'd mentioned a coworker named Vanessa a few times, though I had no idea if that was relevant. "What about her background?" Gerald asked. "What does she do exactly?" "Marketing. She just started at Riverside Marketing Group about 3 months ago. Before that, she was working part-time from home, freelance stuff. Before Lily was born, she worked at—" I stopped. Gerald looked up. "What?" "She worked at a museum," I said slowly. "The Oregon Museum of Natural History. In their development office, fundraising, and donor relations. That was years ago, before we had kids. Interesting career change. She wanted more flexibility when Lily was born. The museum job had long hours, evening events. She went freelance, then took the Riverside position when Jacob started preschool. Gerald made more notes. I'll run a background check, see what comes up. Sometimes people have patterns, old connections that resurface. He looked at me. What's your goal here? Just confirmation of the affair, or do you want to know everything? Everything, I said. How long? Who he is? Where they meet? I need documentation for the divorce. Oregon's a no-fault state. Adultery doesn't affect the divorce itself. I know, but it might affect custody. I felt my jaw tighten. And I want to know what I'm dealing with. All of it. Gerald nodded. I'll start surveillance tomorrow. Thursday, you said? She told me she has a client dinner, 7 o'clock. I'll be on her from the time she leaves work. He slid a contract across the table. Standard rate is $150 an hour, plus expenses. I'll need a retainer of $2,000. I'd already transferred money from my personal account, the one Emily didn't monitor. I signed the contract and wrote the check. One more thing, Gerald said as we stood to leave. Whatever I find, however bad it gets, don't react. Don't change your behavior at home. People notice when their spouse suddenly goes cold or starts acting different. You want her comfortable, unsuspecting. Can you do that? I thought about Emily humming in the shower while I'd sat on our bed, evidence of her betrayal glowing on my phone screen. I thought about making her coffee this morning, kissing her goodbye, asking about her day. Yeah, I said, I can do that. Wednesday crawled by like broken glass. I went to work, reviewed contracts, attended meetings, spoke to clients about mergers and acquisitions, about due diligence and risk mitigation. The irony wasn't lost on me. I made my living protecting other people's interests while my own life fell apart. At lunch, I called a divorce attorney Ryan had recommended. Patricia Brennan, family law specialist, 20 years of experience. I can see you Friday at 9, her assistant said. Will that work? Perfect. I added it to my calendar, right between Jacob's pediatrician appointment and Lily's soccer game. My life was now divided into two parallel tracks: the normal routine of suburban fatherhood and the systematic dismantling of my marriage. That evening, Emily was in good spirits. She'd brought home Thai food from our favorite place, and we ate with the kids at the kitchen table. Jacob told us about the caterpillar his class was raising. Lily complained about a boy named Owen who kept taking her erasers. Maybe Owen likes you, Emily teased. Gross, Mom. He's annoying. Sometimes boys are annoying when they like someone, Emily said, and I wondered if she could hear the acid irony in her own words. After dinner, I gave the kids their baths while Emily cleaned up. Normal, routine. Everything the same as it had always been, except now I noticed things I'd missed before. The way she smiled at her phone while loading the dishwasher. How she'd started wearing perfume even on regular weeknights. Small changes that had seemed innocuous 3 days ago now felt like evidence. When the kids were asleep, Emily settled on the couch with her laptop. Working? I asked. Just catching up on some emails. We have a pitch next week for a new client, big outdoor gear company. Vanessa and I are collaborating on the deck. Vanessa, the coworker she'd mentioned. I filed the name away. What about tomorrow? I asked casually. Still have that client dinner? Yeah, 7 o'clock. Might run late. These restaurant people like to talk. She glanced at me. You're okay with the kids? Of course. I'll do bedtime. You're the best. She blew me a kiss, then went back to her laptop. I sat in the chair across from her, pretending to read news on my phone, actually watching her. Trying to reconcile this woman, my wife, mother of my children, person I'd built a life with the woman who texted someone named D about hotel rooms and couldn't wait to see him. People weren't supposed to be able to compartmentalize like this, but Emily could. She'd always been good at it, actually. When her mother died 2 years ago, she'd cried at the funeral, then come home and organized a bake sale for Lily's school the next day. "I can't fall apart," she'd said. "Life keeps going." Apparently, so did affairs. Thursday morning, I texted Gerald. She confirmed dinner tonight. Leaving house around 6:30. "I'll be ready," he replied. The day felt endless. I couldn't focus on work, kept checking my phone for updates. Gerald had said he wouldn't contact me during surveillance unless something urgent came up, but I couldn't help myself. At 3 o'clock, Ryan stopped by my office. "You look terrible," he said, closing the door. "Thanks." "I mean it. When's the last time you slept?" I couldn't remember. Tuesday night, after discovering the messages, I'd lain awake until dawn. Last night hadn't been much better. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that text preview. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." "I'm fine," I said. "You're not. But you will be." Ryan sat down. "Gerald's good. He'll get you what you need. And Patricia Brennan is the best family law attorney in the state. You're doing everything right." "Doesn't feel like it." "Because you're still in the shock phase. That passes. Then you get angry, and anger is useful. Anger gets things done." I thought about that. I wasn't sure I was angry yet. Mostly I felt numb, like I was watching my life from outside my body. Anger would come later, probably. When I had all the facts, when I knew exactly how long she'd been lying, how many times she'd looked me in the eye and lied. "What if the kids ask questions?" I said. "When this all comes out?" "You tell them age-appropriate truth, that sometimes adults grow apart, that it's not their fault, that both parents love them." Ryan paused. "You've got time to figure that out. Don't borrow tomorrow's problems." Good advice. Hard to follow. At 6:15, I left the office and headed home. Emily's car was already in the driveway. Through the kitchen window, I could see her moving around, getting ready. I sat in my car for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. Gerald was out there somewhere, watching, waiting. In a few hours, I'd know the truth. Or at least more of it than I knew now. I went inside. Emily was in our bedroom, touching up her makeup. She'd changed into dark jeans and a green blouse I'd always liked. Perfume. Earrings. "Hey," she said, seeing me in the mirror. "You're home early." "Slow day. Where are the kids?" "Living room. I set them up with a movie." She turned, checking her reflection. "How do I look?" "Beautiful," I thought, like someone I used to know. "Great," I said. She kissed my cheek. "I'll probably be late. Don't wait up." "Drive safe." I watched her grab her purse, her keys, watched her walk down the hallway, pause to kiss Lily and Jacob goodbye, tell them to be good for Daddy. Watched her get in her car and back out of the driveway. My phone buzzed. Gerald. I have eyes on her. Silver CRV heading south on Canyon Road. I texted back, "Keep me updated." Then I went to be with my kids because whatever else was falling apart, they still needed dinner and bedtime stories and someone to check for monsters under the bed. Even if the real monster was already out the door. The text came through at 8:47 p.m. Gerald. Subject and male companion confirmed at Riverside Hotel downtown. Entering room 412. Will maintain position. Photos uploading to secure folder now. I stared at my phone screen in the kitchen, listening to Lily read a picture book to Jacob upstairs. Their voices drifted down through the vents, Something about a bear who couldn't sleep. Emily had kissed them both goodbye 2 hours ago, promising to be home before bedtime. Another lie to add to the collection. My phone buzzed again. The secure folder notification. I opened it with shaking hands. The photos were clear. Emily in the hotel lobby, wearing the black dress I'd watched her choose. But it wasn't the dress that made my stomach drop. It was the man beside her. Tall, maybe 45, graying at the temples. Expensive suit. His hand on the small of her back as they walked toward the elevators. And I recognized him. Dr. David Kaufman. I'd met him exactly once at Emily's old museum fundraiser 2 years ago. He'd been introduced as the lead archaeologist on some big excavation project in New Mexico. We'd shaken hands. He'd talked about pottery shards and carbon dating, while I'd nodded politely and wondered when we could leave. David. D. My wife was sleeping with her former colleague from the museum. I set the phone down carefully on the marble countertop. The same countertop Emily had spent 3 weeks agonizing over last summer. Carrara marble, she'd insisted. It would look perfect with the white cabinets. Daddy? Lily appeared in the doorway, clutching her book. Jacob fell asleep. Can you tuck me in? I manufactured a smile. Of course, sweetheart. After Lily was asleep, I sat in my home office with the door locked and pulled up everything I could find on Dr. David Kaufman. It wasn't hard. The man had a substantial digital footprint. He was 47, divorced, no kids, currently heading a major archaeological project in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, a protected UNESCO World Heritage Site. His professional website featured photos of him kneeling in dirt, carefully brushing away sand from ancient pottery. Awards lined his CV, publications in academic journals, speaking engagements at universities, and there, buried in a news article from 8 months ago, Dr. David Kaufman joins Oregon Museum of Natural History as consulting archaeologist and senior researcher. 8 months ago, before Emily left the museum. They'd overlapped. I leaned back in my chair, pieces clicking together. Emily hadn't left the museum for a better marketing opportunity. She'd left because, what? The affair had started there? Had become too obvious? My phone lit up. Gerald again. Gerald. Subject departing hotel. 10:23 p.m. Male companion remained inside. Following subject home. I checked the time. Emily would be here in 20 minutes, maybe less. I closed all the browser windows, cleared the search history out of habit, and went downstairs to wait. She came through the door at 10:41 p.m., slightly disheveled but smiling. Her lipstick was gone. Her hair looked finger-combed rather than styled. Hey, she said, dropping her purse on the entry table. Kids asleep? Yeah, how was dinner? I kept my voice neutral, easy. Just another Thursday. Long. She kicked off her heels. The client wanted to discuss every detail of the campaign, but I think we landed it. That's great. I watched her pad toward the kitchen in bare feet. Which client was this again? Vanessa's contact, the boutique hotel chain. She opened the refrigerator, pulled out a bottle of water. I'm exhausted. I might just head straight to bed. The lies came so easily. Smooth as the marble under her water bottle. Actually, I said, I wanted to talk to you about something first. She turned, and for just a second I saw something flicker across her face. Fear? Calculation? Then it was gone, replaced by mild curiosity. Sure, what's up? I'd planned this moment, rehearsed it. But now, looking at her standing in our kitchen in her affair dress, I felt the script dissolve. I ran into Dave Peterson at lunch today, I lied. He mentioned the museum is having another fundraiser next month. Thought we might go, like old times. Her hand tightened on the water bottle. Oh, I don't know. I'm not really connected there anymore. Right. But you must still have friends there. What about that archaeologist you introduced me to? The one working in New Mexico. David something? Kaufman. Her voice was steady, but she wasn't looking at me anymore. I haven't talked to him in months. I think he's mostly in the field now. I let the silence stretch. Well, let me know if you want to go. Could be fun. Yeah, maybe. I'm really tired though. I'm going to shower and crash. She moved past me toward the stairs and I caught a whiff of cologne. Not mine. Something woodsy and expensive. I waited until I heard the bathroom door close, the shower start running. Then I pulled out my phone and texted Gerald. Me. Need full background on Dr. David Kaufman. Employment history, financial records, anything you can find. Also check Emily's museum employment records, termination reason, exit interviews, anything unusual. His response came quickly. Gerald. On it. Should have preliminary by tomorrow afternoon. Also, notice something odd in the surveillance photos. Subject was carrying a large portfolio case when entering hotel. Didn't have it when leaving. Might be nothing, but thought you should know. A portfolio case. Emily didn't use portfolio cases. She worked in marketing, not design. Everything she did was digital, unless she was carrying something she didn't want to leave at home, or something she was delivering. I opened my laptop and navigated to our shared cloud storage. Emily had her own folders, work stuff mostly, that I'd never had reason to look through. I'd always respected her privacy. God, I'd been an idiot. Her work folder was password protected now. That was new. I tried her usual passwords, our anniversary, the kids' birthdays, her mother's maiden name. Nothing worked. But she'd left her laptop in the office. I found it on her desk, still logged in. Sloppy, or maybe she'd been in a hurry to get ready for her client dinner. I opened it, navigating to her files with my heart hammering in my throat. The work folder had subfolders, client projects, campaign materials, meeting notes, all legitimate. Then, at the bottom, one labeled Archive, Museum Projects. I clicked it open. Inside were dozens of files, photos mostly. High-resolution images of artifacts, pottery, jewelry, woven textiles. Each photo was professionally lit, shot against a neutral background with a measurement scale visible. Museum-quality documentation. But these weren't museum pieces. At least they shouldn't be. I recognized some of the styles from David Kaufman's website. Ancestral Puebloan pottery. Chaco Canyon designs. Protected artifacts from protected sites. Each photo had a corresponding document. Provenance reports they were labeled. But reading through them, I realized they were fabricated. Fictional histories designed to make illegally excavated artifacts appear legitimate. Purchased from private collection in 1987. Estate sale acquisition, 2003. Family heirloom, inherited 1995. All lies. Professional, convincing lies that would allow these pieces to be sold legally to private collectors. My hands were shaking now. I kept clicking, opening files. Sales records, dates, amounts, buyer codes. Thousands of dollars, tens of thousands. A pottery bowl for $8,500. A turquoise necklace for $12,000. A ceremonial vessel for $23,000. The dates went back 6 months. Long before Emily had left the museum. She'd been doing this while still employed there, while still having access to excavation records and site locations. And every sale was split 2 ways. EK, 50%, and DK, 50%. Emily Kaufman. David Kaufman. No. Emily kept her maiden name when we married. Emily Wright. But the initials were there, clear as day. A business partnership. A criminal enterprise disguised as archaeological consulting. I sat back, my mind racing. This wasn't just an affair. This was systematic looting of protected archaeological sites. Cultural heritage destruction for profit. Federal crimes that carried serious prison time. My wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was a criminal. And her lover wasn't just some colleague she'd fallen for. He was her partner in destroying irreplaceable pieces of human history. I thought about Lily upstairs, sleeping with her stuffed rabbit. Jacob in his dinosaur pajamas. Their mother was stealing artifacts, erasing history, committing federal crimes. And I had all the evidence right here on her laptop. My phone buzzed. Gerald again. Gerald. Preliminary check on Kaufman shows some red flags. His Chaco Canyon project lost federal funding 2 months ago. Budget cuts. But he's still making regular trips to New Mexico. We'll dig deeper. I stared at the message, then back at the laptop screen. Lost funding. But still traveling to the sites, still excavating, still looting. I needed to call Patricia Brennan. This was beyond divorce now. This was federal antiquities theft. This was the FBI. But first, I needed copies of everything. The shower was still running. Emily's humming had stopped, probably conditioning her hair now, the expensive stuff she'd ordered from some boutique website last month. I had maybe 3 more minutes. My hands were shaking as I opened a new browser window on her laptop. I needed to understand the full scope of this. The affair was one thing, devastating, marriage-ending, but personal. This was different. This was federal. I navigated to her email, still logged in. Searched for Kaufman's name. 47 results. The earliest was from 18 months ago. Subject line: Great catching up at the conference. I clicked it open. Professional, friendly, nothing inappropriate. Just 2 former colleagues reconnecting at some museum symposium in Santa Fe. Emily mentioned she was thinking about new directions in her career. Kaufman responded enthusiastically about opportunities for collaboration. I scrolled through the chronology. The emails remained professional for months. Discussions about authentication techniques, market trends and antiquities, the challenges of museum funding. Then, 8 months ago, the tone shifted. I keep thinking about what you said at dinner. You're right. We could do this. We should do this. That was Emily, responding to an email I couldn't find. Kaufman must have deleted it. His reply: I have a site visit scheduled for next month. Remote location, minimal oversight. If you're serious, this is the opportunity. The water shut off. My heart slammed against my ribs. I quickly photographed the screen with my phone, closed the browser, and moved back to the desk chair where I'd been sitting when she went to shower. I grabbed a book from the nightstand, some thriller Emily had been reading, and opened it randomly. The bathroom door opened. Steam billowed out, carrying the scent of her coconut shampoo. Still up? Emily emerged in her bathrobe, toweling her hair. You should get some sleep. Big day tomorrow, right? The Pembroke contract? Yeah. I kept my eyes on the book, not trusting myself to look at her. Just wanted to finish this chapter. She moved to her dresser, began her nighttime routine. Moisturizer, eye cream. The same rituals I'd watched for 9 years. How many nights had she gone through these motions while planning her next theft? While planning her next hotel room meeting with Kaufman? Gerald sent his final report, I said, keeping my voice casual. The surveillance job. Emily's hand paused for just a fraction of a second before continuing to smooth cream across her forehead. Oh? What did he find? Exactly what the client suspected. Spouse meeting someone at a hotel every Thursday. 6 weeks of documented evidence. That's sad. She met my eyes in the mirror. Her expression was perfectly sympathetic. I never understand how people can lie like that. To someone they promised to love. The audacity of it took my breath away. Me neither, I managed. She climbed into bed beside me, kissed my cheek. Love you. Don't stay up too late. Love you too. The lie tasted like poison. Friday morning, I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. Emily had already left for the office. She had an important presentation for a new client. Or maybe she was meeting Kaufman. Maybe there was no presentation at all. I sat in my home office with my laptop, 3 cups of coffee, and a legal pad. Time to think like a lawyer instead of a devastated husband. The evidence I had. 1. Photographic proof of the affair from Gerald's surveillance. 2. Screenshots of Emily's laptop files showing systematic artifact theft. 3. Sales records indicating $47,000 in illegal antiquities, sales over 6 months. 4. Email correspondence establishing premeditation and conspiracy. 5. Fabricated provenance documents, itself a federal crime. The questions I needed answered. 1. How were they physically smuggling artifacts from protected federal land? 2. Who were the buyers? 3. Where were they storing inventory before sales? 4. Was anyone else involved? I opened my laptop and started researching. The Chaco Canyon sites Emily and Kaufman were looting fell under the Archaeological Resources Protection Act. Federal law, serious penalties. First offense could mean up to 2 years imprisonment and $20,000 in fines. But that was for individuals caught with a single artifact. What Emily and Kaufman were doing, systematic looting, commercial trafficking, falsified documentation, that was a different category entirely. I found a case from 2019 where a dealer in Utah got 8 years for trafficking Native American artifacts. The judge had been particularly harsh because the defendant showed callous disregard for cultural heritage and the historical record. My phone buzzed. Ryan, you okay? Janet said you called in sick. Janet was his wife, who worked in my firm's HR department. News traveled fast. I'm fine, just needed a day. Bullshit, you never take sick days. What's going on? I closed my eyes. I needed to tell someone. Needed to say it out loud. Emily's having an affair. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus, are you sure? I have surveillance photos of her going into a hotel with him. 6 different Thursdays. God, man, I'm so sorry. A pause. Who is it? Guy named David Kaufman, archaeologist. They used to work together at the museum. What are you going to do? I stared at the legal pad in front of me, at the notes I'd been making about federal antiquities law. That's complicated. What do you mean complicated? You divorce her. You document everything, get a good lawyer, and you divorce her. She's committing federal crimes, Ryan. Her and Kaufman both. They've been looting archaeological sites and selling artifacts on the black market. Another silence, longer this time. Are you serious? I have documentation, sales records, fabricated provenance certificates, email correspondence planning the thefts. Holy hell! I could hear Ryan processing this. So what? You're going to report her? Was I? The question had been circling my mind since I first saw those files on her laptop. My wife. The mother of my children. The woman who made dinosaur-shaped pancakes and cried at Pixar movies. She was also a thief, a criminal who was destroying irreplaceable pieces of human history for profit. I don't know yet, I said. What do you mean you don't know? This is serious. This isn't just about your marriage. I'm aware. Then what are you waiting for? I rubbed my eyes. I need to think about Lily and Jacob. If I report her, she could go to prison, federal prison. What does that do to them? And if you don't report her? What happens when she gets caught anyway? Because she will get caught, eventually. Then you're the guy who knew about federal crimes and said nothing. That's not just morally questionable. It could be legally problematic for you. He was right. Of course he was right. I need more information first, I said. I need to understand the full scope of what they're doing. How are you going to get that? Good question. I thought about the portfolio case Emily had carried into the hotel last Thursday. The one she hadn't brought back out. What had been in it? More artifacts? Documentation? Sales records she couldn't risk keeping at home? I'm going to search the house, I said. Today, while she's at work. There has to be more here. Physical evidence, not just digital files. Be careful, Ryan said. If she's doing what you think she's doing, she's going to be paranoid about security. I know. And think about what you're going to do with whatever you find. You can't just sit on this forever. After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my office. Outside, I could hear a neighbor's lawnmower, the distant sound of traffic. Normal Friday morning sounds in a normal suburban neighborhood. Nothing about this was normal. I stood up and started searching. The home office first, my own space, but Emily sometimes used it when working from home. I went through every drawer, every file. Nothing. Just my own legal documents, tax returns, kids' school records. The garage next. Emily's car was gone, but her storage area was still here. Plastic bins labeled with Christmas decorations, camping gear, old textbooks from college. I opened each one systematically. In the fourth bin, underneath a tangle of Christmas lights, I found something that didn't belong. A small wooden box, maybe 8 inches square, carved with geometric patterns. It looked old. Really old. My hands were shaking as I lifted it out. The wood was smooth, worn by time and handling. I opened the lid carefully. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, were 3 pottery shards, each one painted with intricate black and white designs. Beautiful, ancient, and absolutely illegal to possess. I photographed them from every angle, then carefully replaced everything exactly as I'd found it. My mind was racing. This was physical evidence, not just digital files that could be explained away or claimed as fiction. This was an actual artifact, hidden in our garage, proof of theft from protected federal land. I kept searching. I'm back in the garage at 2:47 a.m., Emily asleep upstairs, the house silent except for the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. The box of pottery fragments sits exactly where I left it, hidden behind the camping gear. But now I'm looking for something else. Gerald's report mentioned Kaufman's excavation permits covered 3 sites in New Mexico. The sales records showed artifacts from at least 5 different locations, which means they're hitting sites beyond Kaufman's authorized digs. Sites where they have no legitimate access. I pull out my phone and photograph everything systematically. Each pottery shard from multiple angles. The cardboard box with its shipping label still attached, sent from Albuquerque 3 weeks ago. Then I carefully replace everything and start searching the rest of the garage. The storage shelves yield nothing interesting. Christmas decorations, old tax returns, Jacob's outgrown baby clothes that Emily keeps saying we should donate. Normal family detritus. But there's a locked metal cabinet in the corner that I've never paid much attention to. Emily said she kept old work files in there from her museum days. The padlock is a cheap master lock. I could probably pick it, but that seems unnecessarily complicated. I head back inside, moving quietly through the dark house and retrieve the bolt cutters from the basement. Emily stirs when I pass our bedroom but doesn't wake. The lock snaps with a sharp click that sounds deafening in the quiet garage. I freeze, listening, but the house remains silent. Inside the cabinet, 3 cardboard file boxes, neatly labeled in Emily's handwriting. Museum Projects, 2019-2021. I lift out the first box. It's not museum files. The box contains what looks like a small library of archaeological site documentation. Maps, survey reports, site registration forms. But as I flip through them, I realize something's wrong. These aren't official documents. They're photocopies, and some have handwritten annotations in margins. GPS coordinates. Notes about minimal security and weekend access. They're reconnaissance reports, target assessments. I photograph every page, my hands surprisingly steady, despite the adrenaline making my heart race. The second box contains more of the same, but for different sites. Places I recognize from the sales records. Gila Cliff Dwellings, Bandelier, sites in the Four Corners region. The third box makes my stomach drop. Provenance documentation. Dozens of fabricated histories for artifacts, complete with forged signatures from fictional previous owners, backdated bills of sale, invented collection histories. Some are printed on aged paper. They actually went to the trouble of making the forgeries look old. There's even a small box of different ink pads, various shades of faded blue and black. This isn't opportunistic theft. This is a sophisticated operation. My phone vibrates. A text from Gerald. Awake? Got something. I step outside into the driveway to call him. The October air is cold, my breath visible in the glow from the streetlight. You're up late, Gerald says when he answers. Found their filing system. They've been scouting sites, creating fake provenance documents. This is way more organized than I thought. That tracks with what I found. Been digging into Kaufman's background. He's got some interesting connections. I lean against my car, the metal cold through my shirt. What kind of connections? Published a paper 5 years ago with a guy named Dr. Raymond Voss. Voss got fired from the University of Arizona in 2019 for, and this is in the official termination letter I found, serious ethical violations involving the unauthorized removal of cultural materials from research sites. They fired him for looting. They fired him for getting caught. Never faced criminal charges because the university handled it internally to avoid publicity. But here's the interesting part. Voss now runs a private consulting firm that helps wealthy collectors source authentic pre-Columbian materials. It's all very carefully worded to sound legitimate, but read between the lines and he's basically a black market broker. I close my eyes. You think Kaufman's selling through Voss? I think Voss taught Kaufman how the game works, and now they're business partners. I'm sending you Voss's company website. Check out the client testimonials. They're anonymous, but one of them mentions discreet acquisition of sensitive materials from the American Southwest. The email arrives while we're talking. I pull up the website on my phone. Southwest Heritage Consulting. Professional design, academic language, just vague enough to maintain deniability. The testimonial section reads like a how-to guide for laundering stolen artifacts. There's more, Gerald continues. Tracked down where Kaufman stays when he's in Portland. Not a hotel. He's got a storage unit at a facility off Highway 26. Rented it 8 months ago. Pays cash every month. You think that's where they're keeping inventory? Either that or he's really into storing his winter clothes. I can get eyes on it, but I can't legally access the unit without, I know, warrant or probable cause. My lawyer brain kicks in automatically. What's the facility's security like? Standard setup. Gate code, cameras at the entrance, individual unit locks. Not Fort Knox, but not exactly easy access either. I'm quiet for a moment, thinking. The smart move is to take everything I've found. The artifacts in the garage, the documentation, Gerald's research, straight to the FBI. Let them build the case, get the warrants, do this by the book. But there's a part of me that needs to understand the full scope of what Emily's done, how deep this goes, how long she's been lying to me. Can you find out what Kaufman's schedule looks like for the next few days? I ask. Already did. He's at a dig site in New Mexico until Friday. Flies back Friday night. And Emily? According to her calendar, which I can see because you gave me her login credentials, she's got a normal work week. Meetings, client calls, the usual. Nothing suspicious scheduled. I look back at the house. Our bedroom window is dark. Emily's sleeping peacefully while I stand in the driveway at 3 a.m., planning my next move. I need to see what's in that storage unit, I say. Gerald's quiet for a beat. That's a bad idea for about 6 different legal reasons. I'm not asking you to break in. I'm just saying I need to know what's there before I decide what to do with all this. You mean before you decide whether to send your kid's mother to federal prison? The bluntness of it hits harder than I expect. Yeah, that. Look, I get it. This isn't just about evidence anymore. But if you contaminate the chain of custody, if you do anything that compromises a future prosecution, I know the risks. My voice comes out sharper than intended. I'm a lawyer, Gerald. I understand how this works. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're a guy whose wife destroyed his life, and you're about to make decisions that could destroy hers. That's not a lawyer thinking. That's a husband. He's right, and I hate that he's right. Send me the storage facility address, I say. I'm not making any promises about what I'll do with it, but I need all the information before I decide. After we hang up, I stand in the driveway for another few minutes, looking at my house. The home we bought together, the kitchen we renovated, the bedrooms where our children sleep. Everything looks normal from the outside. A nice house in a nice neighborhood. Soccer mom SUV in the driveway. Pumpkins on the porch for Halloween next week. Nobody would guess that inside the garage, hidden behind camping gear, sits evidence of systematic cultural destruction. That the woman who coaches Lily's soccer team spends her Thursday nights planning federal crimes with her lover. I go back inside, lock the garage, and return the bolt cutters to the basement. The house is still silent. I check on the kids, both sleeping soundly, before returning to the kitchen. My laptop is where I left it. I pull up the photos I took in the garage and start organizing them into folders. Artifacts, site documentation, provenance forgeries. I create a master timeline, cross-referencing the sales records with Kaufman's travel schedule and Emily's calendar. The pattern is clear. Every sale corresponds to a period when Kaufman was at a dig site and Emily had unexplained evening absences. They're not just sleeping together. They're coordinating their criminal enterprise around their affair. My phone buzzes. Gerald's sent the storage facility address and gate code. Apparently, he has a contact who works there. I stare at the address for a long time. Then I hear footsteps on the stairs. Emily, coming down for her early morning coffee. I close the laptop quickly and start the coffee maker, slipping back into the role I've been playing for days now. The husband who doesn't know. The man who still trusts his wife. It's getting easier to lie. That should probably worry me more than it does. The storage unit was in a converted warehouse district near the Willamette River, the kind of place where small businesses rented spaces for overflow inventory and people stored things they didn't want found easily. I sat in my car across the street at 2:47 a.m. on Wednesday morning, watching the building's single security camera make its lazy sweep across the parking lot. Gerald had texted me the access code yesterday. He'd gotten it from a contact who worked at the facility. $50 and no questions asked. The unit was registered to a shell company called Heritage Acquisitions LLC, incorporated in Delaware. Untraceable without a subpoena. I shouldn't be here. Every functioning part of my legal brain screamed that this was breaking and entering, trespassing, potentially destroying evidence that federal investigators would need intact. But I'd spent 3 days looking at those pottery fragments in my garage, reading those sales records, imagining Emily and Kaufman systematically destroying irreplaceable pieces of human history for money. I needed to see the full scope of what they'd done. The security camera swung away. I crossed the street quickly, punched in the code, 4739, and slipped through the side entrance. The hallway smelled like concrete dust and motor oil. Unit 247 was on the second floor, tucked in a back corner away from the main corridor. My hands shook as I cut the padlock with bolt cutters I'd bought at a hardware store 40 minutes outside Portland. The lock fell away with a metallic clatter that sounded deafening in the empty building. I pulled the door up. The storage unit was maybe 10 by 15 feet, lined with industrial shelving. Every shelf held carefully labeled plastic bins, the kind you'd buy at an office supply store. Neat, organized, professional. I opened the first bin. Pottery shards, each one wrapped in acid-free tissue paper and labeled with location coordinates and estimated dates. Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, Bandelier. Sites I recognized from documentaries, from history books, from the collective memory of American archaeology. The second bin held stone tools, arrowheads, scrapers, grinding stones. Each one tagged with GPS coordinates and notes in what I recognized as Emily's handwriting. Promising area, minimal ranger presence, accessible via service road. I pulled out my phone and started photographing everything. The bins, the labels, the meticulous documentation of systematic theft. The third shelf held something different. A laptop, disconnected from any network. I opened it. No password protection. Kaufman's laptop, I realized, seeing his name on the desktop folder. The files were organized by site and date. Reconnaissance photos showing archaeological features from angles that suggested the photographer was hiding. Maps with areas circled and annotated. Surface scatter visible. Exposed by recent erosion. No camera coverage this sector. There were communication logs with buyers. Not emails, too traceable, but screenshots of encrypted messaging apps. A buyer in Singapore interested in ancestral Puebloan ceramics. A collector in Switzerland looking for authentic pre-Columbian textiles. A museum in Dubai, a legitimate museum, inquiring about privately sourced artifacts with documentation. The prices made my stomach turn. A single corrugated jar from Chaco Canyon, $8,500. A set of stone tools from Mesa Verde, $12,000. A painted pottery fragment that Emily's notes described as possibly ceremonial, exceptional preservation, $23,000. But it was the video files that made me understand the full scope of what they'd been doing. I clicked on one dated 6 weeks ago. Shaky footage, clearly shot on a phone, showing Kaufman and Emily at what looked like a remote dig site at dawn. They were working methodically, using professional tools to excavate artifacts from what appeared to be an undisturbed archaeological layer. Emily was laughing about something, her voice clear in the audio. "We should have done this years ago. The museum paid me $42,000 a year to catalog this stuff. We made that in a month." Kaufman's response was clinical. "The key is volume and discretion. Small pieces, high value, buyers who won't ask questions. We can work this area for another 2 years before anyone notices the disturbance." Another video, dated 3 months back, showed them at a different site. This one I recognized. I'd seen it in a National Geographic article about threatened archaeological resources. They were working at night using headlamps, removing artifacts from what the video's metadata identified as a protected burial site. I felt bile rise in my throat. These weren't opportunistic thefts. This was industrial-scale looting, planned and executed with the kind of precision you'd expect from professionals. Emily's marketing background had been put to use creating provenance documents that looked legitimate. Kaufman's archaeological expertise let them identify high-value targets and extract them without obvious damage. And they'd been documenting everything, probably as insurance against each other or as records for their own business planning. I copied the entire laptop hard drive to an external drive I'd brought, then photographed every bin, every artifact, every piece of documentation I could find. The last shelf held something that made my blood run cold. A map of Oregon and New Mexico with dozens of sites marked. Some were crossed out, already looted. Others were highlighted in yellow, planned targets. And some had red stars with dates next to them. Next week, Emily had a conference in Santa Fe. According to this map, there were 3 marked sites within driving distance, all scheduled for collection during that trip. They weren't stopping. This wasn't a crime of passion or opportunity. This was their business model. I heard footsteps in the hallway outside. My heart stopped. I killed the phone's flashlight and pressed myself against the wall behind the shelving unit, holding my breath. The footsteps passed. A door opened and closed somewhere down the hall. Late-night access by another renter, probably someone running a legitimate business who needed to grab inventory. I waited 5 minutes, then carefully closed all the bins, arranged them exactly as I'd found them, and slipped out of the unit. I couldn't replace the padlock I'd cut, but I positioned it to look intact from a distance. If they came here in the next few days, they'd know someone had been inside. But I had what I needed. The drive home took 40 minutes. I kept checking my rearview mirror, paranoid that I'd been seen, that security footage had caught me, that somehow Emily or Kaufman would know. But the streets were empty. The city was asleep. I pulled into my driveway at 4:23 a.m. Emily's car was in the garage. The house was dark. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, looking at the external hard drive in my passenger seat. I had enough evidence now to destroy her completely. Federal antiquities theft, conspiracy, trafficking in stolen cultural artifacts, interstate commerce in stolen goods. The FBI's art crime team would build a case that could put both Emily and Kaufman away for a decade or more. But I also had 2 children sleeping upstairs who would wake up in a few hours asking for breakfast, who had no idea their mother was a criminal, who still believed their family was intact. My phone buzzed. A text from Gerald. "Kaufman left his apartment 20 minutes ago, heading toward your neighborhood. Thought you should know. I looked at the timestamp. 4:31 a.m. Then I saw headlights turn onto my street. A silver Lexus, Kaufman's car, according to Gerald's surveillance photos, slowed as it approached my house. It didn't stop, but I saw the driver's face clearly in the streetlight. Kaufman was doing reconnaissance on my home. At 4:30 in the morning, the Lexus continued down the street and turned at the corner, disappearing. I sat frozen in my car, adrenaline flooding my system. Did he know I'd been to the storage unit? Was this routine surveillance, or had I triggered something? My phone buzzed again. Another text from Gerald. He's circling back. Parked 3 houses down from you. Engine off. Just sitting there. I looked in my rearview mirror and saw the Lexus, barely visible in the pre-dawn darkness, parked at the curb. Watching my house. Watching me. The black Audi was still there when I checked the window at 5:15 a.m. I'd been watching it for 45 minutes, standing in the darkened living room with my phone in one hand and the PI's number pulled up on the screen. One call. That's all it would take to have someone else document this, to add surveillance to the pile of evidence already sitting on 3 different cloud servers. But if Kaufman knew I'd accessed the storage unit, if he was here to confirm his suspicions, then involving more people might accelerate whatever he was planning. The headlights came on at 5:23 a.m. I watched the Audi pull away from the curb, heading east toward the main road. My heart was hammering against my ribs hard enough that I could feel it in my throat. I memorized the license plate, Oregon tags, KJR 847, and texted it to myself before I could forget. Upstairs, the shower turned on. Emily's morning routine, precise as always. Shower at 5:30, coffee by 5:50, out the door by 6:45 to beat traffic to the museum where she now worked part-time while maintaining her consulting work. Consulting. God, the lies had layers I was still peeling back. I made coffee because that's what I did every morning, because maintaining the pattern was the only thing keeping me from walking upstairs and demanding answers I wasn't ready to hear yet. The coffee maker gurgled and hissed, filling the kitchen with the smell of the dark roast Emily preferred. I'd bought this machine at Williams-Sonoma last Christmas because she'd mentioned wanting one. Spent $300 on it. Everything in this house was a monument to a marriage that had been hollow for months. Maybe longer. My phone buzzed. A text from the PI, Kevin Wright. Following up on your request, the Santa Fe trip is confirmed. She booked a room at La Fonda for 3 nights starting Monday. Kaufman has a reservation at the same hotel, different room. I can have someone on the ground there if you want eyes on them. I stared at the message. Monday was 5 days away. 5 days to decide whether to let them walk into what they thought was another profitable looting expedition, or to contact the FBI and end this before they could destroy more irreplaceable history. The shower shut off upstairs. I typed back, "Hold off on Santa Fe surveillance. Need to make some decisions first." His response came immediately. Understood. FYI, ran the plates on that Audi. Registered to David Kaufman. He was definitely watching your house. My hands were shaking. I set the phone down on the marble countertop before I could drop it. Kaufman had been here. Outside my house. Watching my family sleep. The rage that hit me was white-hot and clarifying. This wasn't just about theft anymore. Wasn't just about Emily's betrayal or the systematic destruction of protected archaeological sites. This was about my children sleeping upstairs while a federal criminal sat outside in the dark. I heard Emily's footsteps on the stairs. Forced myself to pour coffee into her favorite mug, the one Lily had painted at one of those ceramic studios, covered in lopsided hearts and the word Mom in purple letters. "You're up early," Emily said, padding into the kitchen in her bathrobe. Her hair was wrapped in a towel. "Couldn't sleep." True enough, I'd barely slept in 8 days. She kissed my cheek, took the coffee mug. "You okay? You've seemed stressed lately." The concern in her voice sounded genuine. Maybe it was genuine. Maybe she could compartmentalize so completely that she actually believed we were fine, that her husband was just dealing with work pressure while she planned her next felony. "Big case wrapping up," I said. "Should be resolved soon." "Well, don't work too hard." She leaned against the counter, sipping her coffee. "Oh, I meant to tell you, I need to head to Santa Fe Monday for a few days. That consulting project I mentioned, they want me on site for some assessments." I met her eyes. 3 days? Probably. I'll be back Thursday evening. Your mom said she could help with the kids if you need it. She'd already arranged childcare, already planned the logistics. This was practiced, smooth, the kind of lie that came from repetition. "What kind of assessments?" I asked. "Cultural resource management stuff." "Pretty boring, honestly. They're doing some land surveys, need someone with museum experience to evaluate potential impacts." She smiled. "But it pays well, so?" Every word was a lie wrapped in enough truth to sound plausible. Cultural resource management, land surveys. She'd probably pulled the terminology straight from legitimate archaeological work, twisted it to cover systematic looting. "Sounds important," I said. "It's a paycheck." She set down her coffee mug. "I should get dressed. Staff meeting at 8. I watched her walk back upstairs, listened to the bedroom door close. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the encrypted folder where I'd stored everything. The videos from Kaufman's laptop, the sales records, the provenance documents, the photographs of artifacts that should have been in museums or still in the ground, protected by federal law. And the new evidence. Kaufman surveilling my house at 4:30 in the morning. I opened my email and started a new message to the FBI's art crime team. The website had listed a field office contact in Portland, Special Agent Michael Torres. I'd looked him up 3 days ago, read his bio, studied his cases. He specialized in cultural property theft, had recovered stolen Native American artifacts from private collectors in 2 different states. I typed, "Special Agent Torres," then stopped. Once I sent this, there was no taking it back. Emily would be arrested. Kaufman would be arrested. My children would watch their mother led away in handcuffs, would have to process that she'd chosen money over them, over everything. Lily's birthday party was in 9 days. She'd been talking about it for weeks, excited about the dinosaur theme, about inviting her whole class. Emily had ordered a custom cake, planned games, bought decorations. I deleted the email. Not because I'd changed my mind about reporting them, but because timing mattered. If I contacted the FBI now, they'd arrest Emily before the Santa Fe trip. Better to let them go, let them incriminate themselves further, give the FBI enough evidence to build an airtight case against the entire network. Better to make sure that when this ended, there was no possibility of Emily talking her way out of it, no chance of her claiming ignorance or coercion. I wanted her to walk into that hotel in Santa Fe thinking she was safe. Wanted her to meet Kaufman, to discuss their plans, to maybe even make it to one of those marked sites before the FBI moved in. Cold? Absolutely. But Kaufman had been outside my house this morning. Had sat in the dark watching my windows, maybe wondering if I knew, maybe planning something I couldn't predict. That changed the equation. I pulled up Kevin Wright's number and called. He answered on the second ring. I need eyes on Kaufman, I said. Starting now. I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he meets with. And I need to know if he comes back to my house. Done. What about the Santa Fe trip? I need someone on the ground there. Someone who can document everything they do, where they go, who they meet, what they're carrying, video if possible. That'll cost extra. We're talking multiple operatives across state lines. I don't care what it costs. There was a pause. You planning to involve law enforcement? Yes, but not yet. I need them to hang themselves first. Understood. I'll have a team ready by Monday. I ended the call and poured myself more coffee. My hands had stopped shaking. The rage was still there, burning cold and patient in my chest, but it was controlled now. Channeled. Emily came back downstairs 20 minutes later, dressed for work in slacks and a blouse, her hair dried and styled. She grabbed her bag, kissed me goodbye. Love you, she said. Love you too. I watched her car pull out of the driveway, watched her wave at me through the window. Then I went upstairs to wake the kids, to make breakfast, to maintain the pattern for 5 more days while I built a case that would destroy their mother. The coffee tastes like ash in my mouth, but I keep drinking it anyway. It's Friday morning, 3 days before Emily's supposed Santa Fe trip, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table watching her pack Lily's lunch with the kind of careful attention that used to make me feel grateful for having such a devoted mother for our kids. Now I just wonder if she's always been this good at compartmentalization, or if it's a skill she developed alongside learning how to loot protected archaeological sites. Don't forget Jacob has soccer at 4 today, Emily says, tucking a note into Lily's lunchbox. She still does that. Little drawings, encouraging messages. Today's appears to be a unicorn with a rainbow. I should be back from the office by 3:30. Actually going to the office? The words are out before I can stop them. She looks up and for a second I see something flicker across her face. Wariness, maybe. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, just that you've been working late a lot. I take another sip of terrible coffee. Wanted to make sure I had the schedule right. Client presentation. She closes the lunchbox with a snap. The Riverside account is in its final phase. Riverside. Even her lies have layers now. The Riverside Hotel, where she meets Kaufman every Thursday. Riverside Marketing Group, the job that probably started as legitimate work before it became cover for federal crimes. Right, I say. The big account. She studies me for another moment. Then her expression softens into something that might be concern. Are you okay? You've seemed off this week? I've seemed off. Jesus Christ. Just tired, I tell her. Big case at work. Well, try to get some rest this weekend. She kisses the top of my head as she passes, and I have to concentrate on not flinching. Maybe we can do something fun with the kids. The weather's supposed to be nice. Sure, that sounds great. She heads upstairs to get Lily ready for school, humming something I don't recognize. I pull out my phone and open the encrypted messaging app I've been using to communicate with Gerald. Any updates on the surveillance? His response comes within seconds. Clean so far. No sign of Kaufman near your residence since Wednesday morning. Could have been routine check-in on his part. Or he knows something's wrong. Possible. But if he suspected you'd found the storage unit, he'd likely have cleared it out by now. We've had eyes on the facility. No unusual activity. That should be reassuring. It's not. I type, what about Santa Fe prep? Kaufman made 2 purchases yesterday. High-end metal detector and what appears to be ground-penetrating radar equipment. Both shipped to a UPS store in Santa Fe under the name David Klein. Klein. Not even creative with the alias. Just swapped the last name. These people have been getting away with this for so long they've gotten sloppy. Or maybe they were always sloppy, and I was just too trusting to notice. Emily's flight is Monday at 6 a.m., I type. You'll have people at the airport? Already arranged. We'll document everything. Who she meets, where they go, what they do. If they hit a site, we'll have photos, GPS coordinates, timestamps. And you're sure this won't spook them? My team knows what they're doing. They'll stay invisible. I close the app as I hear Emily coming back downstairs with Lily, who's wearing her favorite purple dress and carrying a stuffed dinosaur that's been with her since she was 3. "Daddy!" She launches herself at me, and I catch her automatically, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. "Mrs. Patterson says we're learning about volcanoes today." "That's exciting, sweetheart." "Mommy says volcanoes are like the earth sneezing." Lily giggles. "Is that true?" I look at Emily over our daughter's head. She's smiling, relaxed, the picture of a loving mother sharing a moment with her family. "Something like that," I say. "The office feels safer than home these days," which is a sentence I never thought I'd think. At least here, everyone's motivations are transparent. Money, advancement, winning cases. Nobody's pretending to be something they're not. I'm reviewing a contract dispute when my phone buzzes with a call from a number I don't recognize. Oregon area code. "This is David speaking." "Mr. Brennan? This is Special Agent Michael Torres, FBI Art Crimes Division. You sent me some emails earlier this week." My heart kicks into a different rhythm. I'd sent those emails to 3 different FBI contacts, a shotgun approach based on internet research, and desperate hope that someone would take this seriously. Torres is the one who specializes in archaeological theft. "Yes, thank you for calling back. I'd like to meet with you, today, if possible. What you've described in your emails, if it's accurate, we're talking about systematic looting of protected federal sites. That's a priority case for us." "It's accurate." I close my office door, turn away from the glass wall that looks out onto the hallway. I have documentation, photos, sales records, videos from inside their storage facility. A pause. Videos from inside their storage facility. I know how that sounds. "Mr. Brennan, I need to be clear about something. Any evidence obtained through illegal means, breaking and entering, for example, could be inadmissible in court. More importantly, it could compromise our entire investigation." "I understand, but you can use it to know where to look, right?" "What to investigate?" Another pause, longer this time. "That's a complicated question. Why don't we meet in person? I'm in Portland right now. I can be at your office in an hour." "Not my office. The last thing I need is colleagues seeing FBI agents walking into my workspace. There's a coffee shop 2 blocks north, Brew Point. I can be there at 2. See you then." He hangs up and I sit there staring at my phone, trying to figure out if I've just made everything better or infinitely worse. Special Agent Michael Torres looks exactly like what you'd expect an FBI agent to look like. Medium height, dark suit, the kind of forgettable face that probably helps in his line of work. He's already seated at a corner table when I arrive, drinking black coffee and reading something on a tablet. "Mr. Brennan." He stands, shakes my hand. His grip is firm but not aggressive. "Thanks for meeting." "Thank you for taking this seriously." We sit. He pulls out a small recording device, sets it on the table between us. "Do you consent to having this conversation recorded?" "Yes." He presses a button, states the date and time, identifies both of us. Then he looks at me directly. Tell me everything. So I do. I tell him about the text message that started it all, about hiring Gerald Reeves, about the surveillance that revealed Emily's affair with Dr. David Kaufman. I tell him about finding the pottery fragments in the garage, about the sales records on Emily's laptop, about the fabricated provenance documents. And then I tell him about the storage unit. Torres's expression doesn't change much, but I see his jaw tighten slightly when I describe picking the lock, photographing the inventory, copying the hard drives. You understand that was a felony, he says quietly. Yes? And you did it anyway. My wife is destroying human history for profit. I did what I had to do to stop her. He studies me for a long moment. You said in your email that they're planning another trip. Santa Fe, Monday through Thursday. That's right. I have a PI team ready to document everything. Cancel them. What? Cancel your private investigators, Mr. Brennan. If what you're telling me is true, and I'm inclined to believe it is, we're talking about violations of the Archaeological Resources Protection Act, theft of government property, conspiracy, possibly wire fraud and money laundering. These are serious federal crimes. We can't have civilians running surveillance operations that might compromise our investigation. But here's what's going to happen. Torres leans forward slightly. You're going to send me everything you have. Photos, documents, videos, all of it. We'll review the evidence and determine what we can use and what we can't. Then we'll open an official investigation. How long will that take? Depends on what you've got. But if it's as solid as you say, we could move quickly. Before Monday? He shakes his head. Mr. Brennan, I understand your urgency, but we need to do this right. If we arrest them before they actually commit another crime, we might not have enough evidence to make charges stick. The storage unit evidence is compromised because of how it was obtained. We need clean evidence. So you want to let them loot another site. I want to catch them in the act, with federal agents as witnesses. That's how we build a case that results in convictions, not just arrests. I sat in that coffee shop with Special Agent Torres for another hour, going through every detail, every piece of evidence I'd collected. He took notes, asked sharp questions, and by the time we finished, I understood that my private investigation was over. This belonged to the FBI now. One more thing, Torres said as we stood to leave. Your wife can't know anything has changed. Can you do that? Can you go home tonight and act like everything's normal? I thought about the past 2 weeks, about every breakfast I'd made, every goodnight kiss I'd given the kids while planning their mother's arrest. Yeah, I said. I can do that. Monday morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. I woke at 5 to find Emily already up, her suitcase by the front door. She was in the kitchen making coffee, dressed in travel clothes, jeans and a sweater that made her look young, almost like the woman I'd married. You're up early, she said, smiling. I was going to kiss you goodbye before I left. Wanted to see you off. I poured myself coffee, leaned against the counter. You have everything? Phone charger? Laptop? All set. She checked her watch. Car's coming in 15 minutes. Emily, I set down my mug. Be safe, okay? Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, at the emotion in my voice. Of course, it's just Santa Fe. I'll be fine. I know, I trailed off because what could I say? Be safe while you commit federal crimes? Don't get caught before the FBI can catch you properly? She crossed to me, put her hands on my face. I love you. I'll call when I land. I love you too. The lie didn't even hurt anymore. Maybe that was the saddest part. Her phone buzzed. The car service. She grabbed her bag, kissed me one more time, and walked out the door. I watched through the window as she got into the black sedan, watched it pull away down our street in the early morning darkness. Then I went upstairs and woke the kids for school because life kept going even when everything was ending. Torres called me Tuesday afternoon. They hit the first site this morning. Chaco Culture National Historical Park, Southeast Section. We have agents on the ground with telephoto lenses. They're documenting everything. How bad is it? They removed at least a dozen artifacts from what appears to be an undisturbed room block. Pottery, stone tools, possibly human remains. We've got them on video using professional excavation equipment, GPS marking the locations, the whole operation. I closed my office door. Human remains? Preliminary assessment suggests they disturbed a burial site. That adds additional federal charges, desecration of graves, theft of Native American cultural items under NAGPRA. Mr. Brennan, when we move on this, they're going away for a long time. I sat down heavily. When? Thursday morning. We'll arrest them at the hotel before they can hit the third site. We want to make sure we have enough evidence to charge the whole network, Kaufman, your wife, and we're pretty sure there's a buyer named Raymond Voss who's been facilitating sales. We need everything airtight. What do I need to do? Nothing. Be home with your kids. We'll notify you when it's done. Wednesday night, Emily called during the kids' bedtime. I put her on speaker so Lily and Jacob could say goodnight. I miss you guys so much. Her voice was bright, cheerful. Are you being good for Daddy? We made spaghetti for dinner, Lily reported, and Jacob only spilled a little. I didn't spill, Jacob protested. The sauce jumped. Emily's laugh sounded genuine. Well, I'll be home tomorrow night. Maybe we can make cookies this weekend. Chocolate chip? Lily asked hopefully. Obviously chocolate chip, the only real cookie. I listened to her talk to our children, making promises about the weekend, asking about school and soccer practice. She sounded like every other mom calling home from a business trip. Not like a woman who'd spent the day looting protected archaeological sites. After the kids said goodnight, she stayed on the line. You still there? Yeah. Everything okay? You sound tired. Just missing you, I said, and that was true in a way. I missed the woman I thought she was, the woman who maybe never existed. I miss you too. One more day and I'll be home. Emily? I stopped, not sure what I was going to say. What? Nothing, just, I'll see you tomorrow. After we hung up, I sat in the kids' room for a long time, watching them sleep. Tomorrow their world would change forever. Tomorrow they'd learn that their mother wasn't who they thought she was. I'd done everything I could to protect them from that knowledge, but there was no protecting them from this. Thursday morning, I dropped the kids at school and drove aimlessly for an hour, phone in my pocket, waiting for Torres's call. It came at 10:47 a.m. It's done. We arrested both of them at La Fonda Hotel at 8 a.m. local time. They're in federal custody in Albuquerque. We also picked up Raymond Voss in Tucson. The whole network is shut down. I pulled over to the side of the road. What happens now? Initial appearances before a magistrate judge, probably tomorrow. They'll be charged formally. Bail will be set. Given the severity of the charges and flight risk, I'd expect them to be held without bail pending trial. How long until trial? Federal cases move slowly. Could be a year, maybe more. But Mr. Brennan, The evidence is overwhelming. The videos we shot this week alone are enough to convict. Add in everything you provided, the storage unit inventory we seized with a proper warrant, the financial records. They're going to prison. I thanked him and ended the call. Then I sat in my car on the side of the road and felt absolutely nothing. No relief. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just a vast, empty space where my marriage used to be. Emily called me from jail that afternoon. I almost didn't answer. David. Her voice was small, broken. David, please, I need you to understand. Understand what? That you destroyed our family? That you committed federal crimes? That you lied to me every single day for months? It wasn't supposed to happen like this. David was just supposed to be, we were just going to make some money and then stop. But it became an affair and a criminal enterprise. My voice was flat. I know, Emily. I know everything. I've known for weeks. Silence. Then, you knew? I hired a private investigator. I found the artifacts in the garage. I saw the sales records. I'm the one who gave the FBI the evidence they needed to arrest you. Oh my God. Her breathing got ragged. The kids. David, what about the kids? The kids are fine. They're at school. They don't know yet. You can't tell them. Please. They're too young to understand. They're going to find out, Emily. This is going to be in the news. Their friends' parents are going to talk. I can't protect them from what you did. I never meant to hurt them. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. I closed my eyes. You chose this. Every single time you walked out that door to meet Kaufman, every time you lied about client dinners and conferences, every time you destroyed irreplaceable pieces of human history for money, you chose that over us. I'm sorry. She was crying now. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to me. I don't know how I became this person. I don't either. Will you? Her voice broke. Will you bring the kids to see me before the trial? I need to explain. No. The word came out harder than I intended. You don't get to explain this to them. You don't get to make yourself feel better by confessing to 7-year-olds and 4-year-olds. When they're older, when they can actually process this, I'll tell them the truth. But right now, I'm protecting them from you. David, please. I hung up. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Emily pleaded guilty to avoid trial. 17 federal charges including theft of government property, archaeological resources violations, conspiracy, and trafficking in stolen cultural artifacts. The prosecutor recommended 15 years. The judge gave her 12. David Kaufman got 14 years. Raymond Voss got 8. I got full custody of Lily and Jacob. Emily's parents got supervised visitation rights, which they exercised exactly once before deciding it was too painful to maintain contact. The house sold quickly. I took the kids to a smaller place across town, somewhere without marble countertops and memories in every room. We started over. 2 years later, I'm sitting in Jacob's new bedroom helping him build a Lego spaceship when Lily appears in the doorway. Daddy, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. She's 9 now, tall for her age, with Emily's eyes and my stubborn chin. Owen's mom said something weird at soccer practice. She said Mom was in jail because she stole things from museums. Is that true? I set down the Lego instructions. Jacob looks up, suddenly interested. Come sit down, both of you. They settle on either side of me on Jacob's bed. I take a breath, trying to find words that are honest but age-appropriate. Your mom made some very bad choices, I say carefully. She took things that didn't belong to her, important historical artifacts that were supposed to be protected. She broke the law, and she hurt a lot of people. That's why she's in prison. But why would she do that? Lily's voice is small. I don't know, honey. Sometimes people make choices that don't make sense to anyone else. Sometimes they convince themselves that what they're doing is okay, even when it's not. Did she love us? Jacob asks. He's 6 now, and he barely remembers Emily from before. Yes, I say, because I believe that's true. She loved you very much. But love doesn't always stop people from making terrible choices. Love isn't always enough. Lily leans against my shoulder. Do you still love her? I think about that question, about the woman I married, the life we built, the moment it all shattered, about late nights documenting evidence and early mornings pretending everything was fine, about the sound of her voice on the phone from jail, broken and sorry and too late. I love who I thought she was, I say finally. But that person, I don't think she was ever real. And that's sad, but it's the truth. Truth is important, Lily says seriously. She learned that from me, from 2 years of me refusing to lie to them about why their mother was gone. Truth is the most important thing, I agree. We sit there together for a while, the 3 of us, in a bedroom that doesn't have any memories of before. Eventually, Jacob goes back to his Lego spaceship, and Lily wanders off to read. Normal evening, normal life. Better than normal, maybe, because it's built on truth instead of lies. I think about Emily sometimes in a federal prison in California, serving her 12-year sentence. I wonder if she thinks about what she destroyed. Not just artifacts and archaeological sites, but her family, her children's childhood, the trust of everyone who loved her. I wonder if she understands that some things, once broken, can't be put back together. That some choices echo forward through time, destroying futures that haven't even happened yet. The kids ask about her less and less as time passes. Lily has nightmares sometimes. Jacob doesn't remember her voice anymore. They're in therapy, both of them, learning to process trauma and loss and betrayal in age-appropriate ways. They'll be okay. It'll take time, but they'll be okay. And me? I'm learning to trust again, slowly. Learning that not everyone lies, that not every secret is a betrayal, that some people actually are who they claim to be. It's hard. Some days it's impossible, but I keep trying, because the alternative is becoming someone I don't want to be. There's a lesson here, I think, though I'm not sure what it is exactly. Something about how easy it is to destroy things, relationships, trust, irreplaceable pieces of human history. How much easier it is to break than to build. Something about how love isn't enough if it's not accompanied by honesty, integrity, respect. Something about how the choices we make ripple outward, touching lives we never intended to touch, destroying things we never meant to destroy. Emily chose money over truth, chose excitement over family, chose to become someone who could look her children in the eye and lie without hesitation. And in the end, she lost everything. I chose truth, even when it was agonizing. Chose to protect my kids even when it meant destroying their world. Chose to do the right thing even when the right thing felt impossible. I didn't lose everything, but I lost enough. The kids and I, we're building something new now, something honest, something real. It's smaller than what we had before, quieter, but it's ours and it's true. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that has to be enough. Because in the end, truth is all we really have. Everything else, Love, family, trust, history itself, it all crumbles to dust without the foundation of truth holding it together. Emily forgot that. Or maybe she never knew it. I won't forget. And I'll make sure Lily and Jacob never forget either. That's the real legacy of all this, I think. Not the broken marriage or the federal convictions or the artifacts that can never be returned to where they belonged. The legacy is two kids who understand that truth matters more than comfort, that integrity matters more than profit, that some lines should never be crossed no matter how much you stand to gain. If they learn that, if they grow up to be people who choose truth over convenience, honesty over deception, then maybe something good came from all this destruction. Maybe that's the only redemption any of us get. I'm still here, still standing, still showing up for my kids every single day, still choosing truth even when lies would be easier. And that, I've learned, is all any of us can really do. Tell the truth. Protect what matters. Build something honest from the ruins. The rest is just details.